Hi, I'm Heather. I'm one of the systems engineers here at Pestler. In this tutorial today, I'm going to take you through the VMware sensors. We have sensors for both your ESXi Host and for your guests, as well as the Datastore. So come on, let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at the VMware devices and sensors in my PRTG environment. Before you get started, as everything, you have to make sure you have your credentials or else you won't be able to access the devices. So we go to our device tree to settings, and first I want to look at the ESXi host. So you have to make sure you define your root credentials in here. For the ESXi Host sensors, your vSphere Windows integrated settings credentials won't work in the settings. So as long as we have root there, and let's now go back. Now for the host, there are two sensors that we can do. We have host hardware and host performance, and they're using the SOAP protocol. The SOAP protocol is one of the protocols from VMware that we use to get the information. So here is our VMware host performance sensor. It is per ESXi host that we have. And you come in here and there are a slew of channels. So we come down, we can see CPU ready, the Datastore, read writes, disk read writes, latency, downtime, memory, network. So every host you have in here, you're going to want to use a sensor to keep an eye on the host performance. And of course, if you need to go in and set channel limits and alerting, you can do that. And we have a number of other videos where we go through how to change the channel limits and to set up your notifications. All right, so the next one is, let's talk about host hardware, because there are two methods for that. The first one we're going to look at is using the SOAP protocol, and then the other protocol we have is the WBEM, which we're going to go into that after here. So as you can see here, my VMware host hardware status sensor I'm in. Now I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 channels. If you could see, it just shows you alert states, normal states, warning states, and then of course set the sensors down. If I go into my normal states, because my sensor's green, so everything's up right now, you could see I have 258 hardware states in here. Always click on that every time I do a demonstration. Let me get out of my channel settings. But this one sensor is monitoring all 258 hardware states, which is great because you get all your hardware states in one sensor, but it's broad. So if any of those hardware states goes into warning or alert, you'll get a message saying there's a warning or alert. You come to PRTG, and in your green box up here, it will be yellow or red, and then it will describe in here what's going on. So you may not necessarily get in your alert super details, but you'll know there's something wrong with the hardware and you can come. So if you want details, how do we do it? Well, let's come down to the WBEM protocol. This one takes every single hardware state into its own sensors. For example, let's look at my fan. I have system board 1, fan 1, system board 1, fan 2, system board 1, fan 3. You getting my drift? System board 1, fan 4. So it's taking each one down into a different sensor. So by that respect, you would use 258 different sensors to do this. Now, of course, I like you using more sensors, but I know you're not going to want to use that many sensors to monitor the hardware of one server. It's not realistic. Plus, it will take up the resources on your PRTG server. So the idea is, if there are certain hardware components that are more important to you, you can use a couple of those WBEM sensors on those components. Use that SOAP protocol host hardware sensor to cover everything in the bulk, and then you can come down. Because if you see the power supply down here, power supply 1, voltage 1, or possibly your system board, the temperatures might be more important to you. Use a couple of them, everything else, use the SOAP protocol one for that. All right, and then there's the Datastore. So we do have a Datastore free sensor. So the Datastore sensor, you can either put on your ESXi host server, or you could put in through vSphere. It's up to you. But you can see it's the Datastore that's using the SOAP protocol, and you're going to just see your available capacity, free bytes, free space. Pretty much similar to a disk free sensor, but it's also going to show you your total provisioned also in there. Keep an eye on that. Now let's talk about the virtual guests. Now, if your ESX servers are in a cluster, then you do not want to put the virtual guest sensor on the host, because guess what's going to happen if your host fails over to the other host? It's going to show your virtual guest is down. We don't want that. So if you have a cluster, put in vSphere as your device and then put your virtual guest on that. And I'm gonna just jump in here to one of my virtual guest sensors. So this is each virtual guest will be one virtual machine sensor. So you could see with SOAP protocol, the VMware virtual machine sensor. Look at all these great channels we get. We're getting CPU, we're getting Datastore, disk read writes, memory, network. I know I get a lot of customers that get really excited with the sensor because they're like, wow, look at all these. But then one common thing I hear is they RDP to their Windows machine login. These statistics or channels don't match what they see in Windows once they log into Windows, because this is looking at your VM from the outside in. If you want the Windows statistics, you'd have to take this server, add it as its own device in the PRTG, and then you're going to use your SNMP and WMI sensors that I will talk about in another tutorial. So keep in mind, this is looking at your virtual machine from the VMware layer, the outside in approach. Get lots of great channels and metrics you're getting in if you want to look at it that way. Each virtual guest, its own sensor that we have there.
If you find this video helpful, feel free to like it and consider watching our other videos on our channel. If you still have questions, please contact support@pessler.com. And always feel free to comment for feedback or suggestions for other topics. Thank you.